What is up, everybody? It's Verta here, and thank you so much for stopping by, guys. We have a brand new batch of updates regarding Awakening Mystic, and we gotta check them out. We gotta go check them through because, of course, this is the Mystic Hub out there on YouTube, and I take very big pride on this, and me and the other Mystic guys, we always just go about just making those videos and just voicing out whether it's frustration or how pleased we are with the changes, but Mystic has been moving into a very interesting decision-making direction, which I don't find particularly bad. It's just that I don't think that the class is being promoted per purpose well. And what I mean by this is that Mystic is a generator spender class, and they're moving away from the generator spender thing, and they're going away into generate, and spend whenever the spenders are available. Basically, they're not really prioritizing combo spend. Now it's just pretty much spend combo spend, right? So they're just going about vice versa the entire class fantasy of Mystic. So right over here above me, you guys are going to see the changes which come to Mystic, and specifically all of the buffed abilities, but we got to go through them one by one, and then we're going to go into the depth of things. So the Tidal burst cooldown being reduced from 3 seconds max rank to 5 seconds is a little bit weird, and I understand what they're doing with this. Basically, for people that do not know, let's just fix something here. For the people that do not know, Mystic on Awakening is one of the most ease of access classes in Black Desert for people that are just right now starting the game. And a lot of this is just how easy it is to spam Rapid and Tidal Burst. It is just pretty much 2 hit of Rapid, and the rest is with Tidal Burst. And this would be the bread and butter of Mystic. Basically, sit back, relax, enjoy the show while you wait for your cooldowns. It's super easy to learn, super easy to access. So they're reducing this, the cooldown and the damage of the skills during the cooldown by basically from 3 seconds to 5 seconds, and of course the damage of it. The health point regen is buffed, which is something that we desperately needed for spots like Orzikea, which I find to be very, very good of a change. Still, it is a very dependent ability for Mystic in the high-end grind spots for Tidal Burst, but overall it's kind of like a 50-50. You win some, you lose some. They're taking survivability, quote-unquote, away for survivability given in regards to health return. So the damage of Rapid Stream is being reduced while the ability is cooldowned in PvP. No Mystic out there uses this ability in PvP for any purpose, pretty much. I don't recall. I don't use it. The best Mystics out there don't use it. It's just a weird change. It's like, why are you doing this? It makes no sense. So the changes, the skill has been improved, so improved by the way, right, improved, so that all defense reduction effects are applied when all hits are successful, right? That's, I guess, great, although I'm not entirely sure if this means that it's going to apply it at the end if all have landed. It's just a tricky translation, although I don't think that would be the case. It would be something ridiculous if that would be the case. Hopefully not. And the duration and reduction amount of all defense reduction effects are applied differently depending on the level of the skill. Okay, so now we go into the very good buffs to this Mystic Global Labs patch, and that is Wave Orb, 1 second cooldown reduction from 11 to 10. Wave Orb is one of the most important abilities for Awakening Mystic. It is pretty much the highest demand ability, and of course Mystic in particular for shard generating, shard spending. We always have far too many shards that we would just always sit on 3 shards, right? Essentially what I'm trying to say is that we need cooldown reduction, which is going to kind of bring some robustness back to the class Awakening Mystic, because Awakening Mystic is kind of like a fluid, not really a spender, not really a generator. It just, yeah, we just throw abilities around. It's very easy to do. Of course, Rising Dragon got from 8 seconds to 7 seconds, which is another cooldown, which I love. This is the best Mystic ability. I love it so much. Rising Dragon is just fun. And again, 1 second cooldown on this. We have Dragon Strike, improve the ability to smoothly link up with the Hot Air skill after using the skill. I am not entirely sure what Hot Air in particularly was, but if I am not mistaken, I think it was Raging Wind. So basically, maybe they're fastening it up. I have no idea what precisely they're doing with this. We gotta see on live. Bear in mind, we do not go global labs because things just far too much change there. The issue where the movement was awkward when using the Dragon Fist Strike skill after using the skill has been fixed. Basically, for the Mystic players that do not know this, you can go on Raging Wind, place it onto your keybinds, and you can go and do this, which is a little bit of a, you know, it's kind of like a forward guard back up thing, and there is a little bit of an issue with it where it's just awkward to use. I think this is what they're addressing. I'm not entirely sure, but nonetheless, nobody will press this ever because there is no need to press this. So the what do you call it? The Hurricane Sweep ability right now is going to be kind of like the centerpiece of this entire update, because if you go ahead and you go into Soul Basher in Pre-Awakening, the absolute version, after the change, you'll be able to go about and pre-awaken, basically whatever way you find you do seem fit, pre-awaken and then press your F key, of course, which now live doesn't do anything, but that's going to get you into awakening and you will be able to basically do another swap, which is very, very good. And also it is something specifically tied to last update because of how dependent you were on a certain combo. So we gotta go a little bit into the past update because we never really got into Awakening Mystic changes because they're all succession oriented. But right now there is an issue with Mystics, and that is that people don't really know what to do with Death Cloud. Death Cloud is the ability that was buffed through the absolute roof, and Death Cloud is 100% crit rate with 6.6 times 2 damage, and all of its flows inherit that damage, and it's a great, great, great ability. Accuracy rate is also 25, which is really good. Just to give you a perspective on how bad Awakening abilities are, Dragon Strike is half that damage, if not even more than half of that damage, and Raging Wind is pretty much half of that damage. So these two abilities, hold on a minute. These two abilities in this succession deals less damage than just going SC and just doing Death Cloud. Yeah, it's simply weird to see that, and I personally knew that was gonna be addressed one way or another by, of course, them buffing Dragon Strike, Raging Wind, and all the filler abilities, so you do not go 100% outside of Pre-Awakening. Outside of Awakening into Pre-Awakening for the sakes of Death Cloud. But however, that also is a very weird thing right now because Death Cloud shares a key input with Gushing Waters. So Gushing Waters is basically impossible to use. If I, let's just say, I press my Hurricane Kick and I want to do Death Cloud, which is supposed to be LMB, to follow up through it, it's not going to work out because Gushing Waters is not locked. So now everybody is going to be like, well, do you lock Gushing Waters for the sakes of it so that you can go ahead and do your Death Cloud with the flows? No, not really. You don't want to be using that. It's just that more or less we're just going to go into a little bit of a, how can I say, clunky, mysticky variation of this, and we just got to figure it out once it goes live. So no locking onto Gushing Waters. Death Cloud seems to be still to play. Even post buffs, it will be still to play, and this is a little bit of that weird part. So now let's go into the more in depth regarding skills and damage increases. So in Rapid Stream gets 15%. So the Shift LMB gets 15%, which we will not at all use right now ever, outside of just the necessity for DP buffs. So the 3k times 2 consecutive attack damage is so bad. It is so unbelievably bad, and Rapid Stream in general has always been an ability that falls behind quite a lot. And I'm just a little bit tilted right now even talking about it because it's just, why would you even press that entire ability when a single click of Death Cloud and one of its combos is going to deal all of that damage in about a third of the time that you would need to spend on it, right? So the Rapid Stream 15% is completely irrelevant. We don't care about that. It is just something that PA are touching for whatever reason. I can't, sorry, I just don't know why they're doing it. So the next ability that we have is we have a wave orb damage increase by 8%. So wave orb damage increase 8%. So this is, by the way, only PvE, bear in mind. So wave orb increase 8% is fine. We don't really, it's not that much, but then again, the ability got 1 cooldown reduction second. So you get the idea. This is going to be very, very good. The next ability is going to be Sea Burial by 9%. Sea Burial is a good ability. It's an important ability for Awakening Mystic. It is one of the ways we go through engage onto the mobs. It's a very, very good ability, as I said. So 9% are more than welcome. Now we have, for whatever reason, the only uncapped crit ability, Spiral Torpedo, from Awakening Mystic, and it's getting increased damage by 22%. And this is a little bit of like, huh? Why are you doing this when you could have just simply added a crit rate and do that instead? Granted, of course, this means that you can probably go about right now and add some crit rate add-ons and just, you know, work around the solution, but you get the idea. It's just a little bit weird for this ability to be the only ability with not just 15 crit or 20 crit, 25, 50 crit. No, it doesn't matter. It has 0. So it's getting increased 22% damage. The next thing is Rising Dragon, which we just used 100% of. Absolutely whatever. Rising Dragon is getting the damage increase by 9%. Let's just go about it. Rising Dragon. There you go. My favorite ability of Awakening Mystic. And the Hurricane Sweep, which is now going to be used from the switches, basically swapping the C swaps from the F key into the future patch, is getting a 17% damage increase, which is very good. So I might say sometimes damage reduction. Apologies, I'm just getting, you know, my tongue twisted. But Gushing Waters is also getting a 12% damage increase, which is the LMB after the majority of our abilities. Dragon Strike is getting a 26%, and Raging Wind is getting a 22%, which they really did need, but that is still not going to be enough to make any change to, you know, priority in terms of Death Cloud. But what it's going to do is Mystic kind of right now will go into a very big kind of like change, in a sense, where we are going to go throughout the entirety of our ability and just do a rapid repeat of so many things, right? So think of it like this. We're just kind of gonna go into this weird Death Cloud T Hurricane Kiki switch, and we'll be just throwing all of our awakening skills out and going into pre-succession to DPS. The difference being barely any. But yeah, I kind of feel like this is just going to be the direction that PA take for Mystic. So I don't know, just go into some sort of a combo, whatever. I'm just messing it up right now because I still haven't practiced this. I do not know how exactly will I go about and do the combos. We have some time up until those changes go live. Plus, we gotta wait at least a week up until we test them. And last but not least, Earth Splatter, which is our SRMB. Earth Splatter is going to be the next ability getting buffed by 7%. So these are the changes within Awakening Mystic's kit. Overall, I think that they're for the positive. I do not mind going into pre-awakening. I just want my Mystic fellows out there to know. In fact, I prefer going into pre-awakening, but I do not like when Pearl Abyss promote non-essential Mystic playstyle and go for filler abilities instead of promoting the generate spend. Now it's spend to generate, right? I don't like that at all. In fact, it's repulsive to me because this has never been the case for Mystic. What they could have done, and this is a little bit of that feedback mode right now, what they could have done is just simply buff Roaring Tigers, spend 3 shards, and just go about and do that so that we could go into Roaring Tiger and use that as a filler. Why do we have to go into Death Cloud and all of its flows for Awakening, which deal more damage even post those changes than 30% of our abilities in Awakening? It's so weird. But then again, Pearl Abyss have right now this vision for Mystic. They have this thing that they want to do, and I'm not opposing it. I still want to see it work, but I still find it counter Gauntlet. It's not Martial Spirit Shard. It's not Martial Spirit. It's not combo. It's spend and then do something else. I don't know. Mystic is moving in a direction which I'm not entirely sure if I enjoy. And that's just me, you know, I'm not projecting over you guys. It's just that, yeah, I do prefer having a little bit of a different play style. If we could do it in another way, sure. I don't know. For now, it's very weird. The C swapping doesn't work for Death Cloud. Basically, most of your abilities, whenever you use them in Awakening, are not going to swap properly and with the SC function, which is in Awakening, S and C triggers automatically Death Cloud without having to chain it from a flow. The same way how if you just press C and you have Bombardment over here, let's just say that you want to do this like that, Bombardment is going to trigger as well. So yeah, I just don't know what to make of those changes. There's like, we look at this, I'm pressing S and C and I'm not chaining Death Cloud, which would be the ultimate thing to do. And yeah, Mystics right now are confused. We don't know what to do with this. So yeah, PA, you need to address those things, because we would prefer to just spam Death Cloud amidst abilities and chain from that, rather than just combo from, you know, this, or I don't know. It's just weird. Yeah, this is my take on these. We'll see how they go when they land. I'm still complaining about it because it's not my ultimate fantasy. Of course, everybody has their ultimate Mystic fantasy, and what they don't do is not fill in mine. All right, and I have a voice. I think it's okay for me to express how I feel about Mystic. But yeah, we'll see how those changes land. Hopefully they land good. Hopefully Mystic is probably capable of scratching S tier. I don't think that those changes will be, you know, that big to the point where they overpower Succession everywhere. Bear in mind, we're only getting like 9% on our spenders, or like 8% on our spenders. You know, it doesn't matter. But we'll see how the chaining and the DPS part of Awakening Mystic improves, which I think is what this change here onto the Global Lives is doing. And that is addressing the DPS front of Awakening Mystic so that it matches Succession to some extent, and just normalize the differences between the classes, such as Sec Mystic now has pretty much the highest burst out of the majority of the melees, probably top 3 Sec Mystic. And then you have Awakening Mystic, which used to do that, but then had no DPS. And now they're kind of normalizing them and putting them in a little bit of an equilibrium, if I could say that. So yeah, see you guys. Enjoy yourselves. We'll see when the patch hits in 2 days. I'll be grinding, doing Mystic videos as always. And yeah, like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Much love. Enjoy yourselves. Bye-bye.